Hello everyone, welcome to Court with Krissy. Before the parole board today, in 1982, this inmate murdered her attorney, and she was sentenced to life without parole. However, this isn't the first time she's been before the board. She was here last year, but they didn't let her supporters speak. Also, one of the victim's son supports, and one is in opposition. So there's that. And in the description, you will find a link to details on this case from 1982. It was a good read. And then I found a channel that had the previous parole board hearing. I'll link that in the description as well. Don't forget to hit the like button. Court with Krissy is now in session.
All right, good morning. The pardon board is now at the Louisiana Correctional Institute for Women on Monday, April 6, 2026. Good morning, Warden. Would you and your staff introduce yourselves, please?
Morning, Kristen Thomas, Warden.
Afton Gaddy, ARDC Supervisor. Camilla Hudson, ARDC Supervisor.
Avery Nolan, Student Attorney.
Stanislav Moroz, Supervising Attorney.
All right, thank you. And let me just go ahead and introduce the other folks that are there at LCIW. We have Brandon Matthews. Brandon, where are you?
Right here.
Yes, sir, okay. And Dr. Brad McConville is on Zoom. At LCIW, Avery Nolan, who has introduced herself. Mr. Blake is on Zoom with the Parole Project. Also there at LCIW, Candace Matthews, Ms. Cobb's daughter. Granddaughter, I can't say Ms. Lloyd's first name. Ms. Cobbs, could you pronounce it for me, please?
Hajane.
Hajane. Okay, thank you. And then I don't know, has Brad made it there yet? I have another list here, student attorney with the name Brad McConville, but that's the psychiatrist, I believe. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Okay, and let's see, Brandon Matthews Jr. is here with us in Baton Rouge. Farrah Addison is also here with us in Baton Rouge. Emily Baker and Carolyn Leckwich is also here. All of those folks are here in support of Ms. Cobb's application. Here, also, we do have opposition. On Zoom, we have Grant Hardy, Sterling Core, Liz Core, Jason Core, who is victim's family but does indicate support. Terry Cobbs here at headquarters, Mr. John Sinkfield with the AG's office, and on Zoom we have from the DA's office in East Baton Rouge Parish, Ms. Tracy Barbera. So Ms. Cobbs, before we get started, would you introduce yourself to us, please? Tell us your name and DOC number.
My name is CAROLYN Cobbs, number 100118.
And so your counsel has introduced themselves, but I'd like for the record for them to reintroduce themselves, please.
Oh, I apologize. This is, well, Avery, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Avery Nolan, a student attorney with the Tulane Law School Domestic Violence Clinic.
And board chair, my name is Stanislav Moroz. I won't be speaking. I'm just here to supervise Ms. Nolan. And I just did want to clarify, did you say that Mr. Jason Core was present in Baton Rouge? Is that correct?
He's on Zoom.
He's on Zoom. Okay. I didn't see his screen pop up yet. So I just wanted to make sure the board had that because he will be one of the speakers in support.
Okay. Do you have him on Zoom? Stand by, we're checking.
Thank you so much.
So while we're trying to get in touch with him, I'm gonna just read some identifiers into the record and explain why we're here again today. So Ms. Cobbs, you're here because you submitted an application for commutation of your sentence. You were sentenced to East Baton Rouge Parish, October 1982. You're serving a life sentence, second-degree murder. Is that correct?
Who? Yes, ma'am.
So we are here. You had a hearing in August of last year, August 2025. And at that time, since that hearing, we've rescheduled another hearing for you because there was an error that was made. All of your speakers who had signed up to speak in support were not allowed to speak. It was brought to our attention that could have been a violation of the public meetings law based on our own rules. So we've scheduled you for a new hearing today, and that's why we're here. Your case has been assigned to Mr. Prater. He's going to have some questions for you, and then we'll hear from the folks that want to speak in support and those who want to speak in opposition, and then we'll have an interview of sorts after your attorney gives us their presentation. So you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Cobb, good morning.
Good morning.
It seemed like I just talked to you.
Yes, sir. It's been a couple of months.
But I've read the case once again, and I've listened to your video once again, and or this time, and I really I want you to. I don't really think we need to go over the entire case again, but I want to give it. I want to turn it over to you as quickly as I can for you to try to convince us, all four of us, why you think that you're deserving of this commutation of your sentence and eligibility for parole. I want to give you another chance, and I promise you, I voted against you last time, and I want to assure you, I have a completely open mind, and so I want you to try to convince the board that you've done everything necessary to earn this second chance. And I want to turn it over to you, and then I want to hear from the warden, see if there's been any changes, and I want to hear her present her case again about the kind of person that you've been since you've been incarcerated under her tutelage. Okay, go ahead. I'm ready. I said all that to try to get you to not be nervous. Okay.
Well, sir, after spending 7 years in an abusive marriage, I decided to get a divorce, and I decided to hire Mr. George Emmett Cord to get that divorce. And when time came for us to go to court to settle the divorce, the judge said that permanent custody and control of my children had been given to my ex-husband. Sir, I was shocked at this turn of events. And so I was shocked and confused that my husband could be given and ended up with protection, custody, and control of our children. And he did not even attend a hearing. Neither did he have representation from an attorney. So I went to get my divorce. I got my divorce. And I also went about trying to get someone to help me to get my children back. I went from law office to law office, trying to get help to get my children back. And so I ran across this attorney who told me that for $500 that he would be able to help me get my children back. And so I paid him $500, but he did no work. He did nothing. And so I got my money back. Finally, I went and I ran across this one attorney who told me that once a decision has been made concerning custody of children, that it is almost never reversed. And so upon hearing this, sir, I was discouraged and I became very disturbed. My world had come to an end. All hope was gone. I was confused and in tormented by the things that took place. I went to confront Mr. Cord to ask some questions. I shot Mr. Cord. I panicked and I ran from the office. And I am sorry for shooting Mr. Cord. I'm sorry that I let my emotions get the better of me. Mr. Cord and Miss Carter, I cannot imagine how you must have felt upon hearing of the death of your father and your brother.
Speak to the board, okay?
Your world.
Just say they don't want you to address them directly, so just say I'm so sorry for their loss, as opposed to you.
Sorry. I'm sorry that I took Mr. Cord's life. I'm sorry that I just let my emotions get the better of me. I was not myself.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. That coupled with what you said in the video and with what you said at the first hearing, I think that's what I wanted to hear. Warden, so let's see, Ms. Cobb, before I finish, Ms. Cobb, is that all? I didn't interrupt you in your statement? No?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get into a little bit more with you in a little bit when the board has a chance to ask some questions. Warden, would you tell us about Ms. Cobb and her behavior since you've seen her and since you've been
Yes,
with her?
sir. Ms. Cobb lives in our assisted living dormitory. So she's not, out there working every day, but she does do housekeeping and whatnot in the housing unit. She has not had a write-up since 2020. So the entire time I've been at LCIW, I've not had any issues with her, seen any issues with her. She is low risk and low needs. I know that Mr. Blake is on, so he'll probably speak to Parole Project and any transition plan issues, but she is a minimum custody inmate. And like I said, she had, in the past completed various CTE classes and things of that nature, but she is in our assisted living housing unit now.
Okay, thank you, Warden. We appreciate that very much. And now we'll move on to those that will be speaking in support, and then we will speak to those that are in opposition to this request. And so we'll begin. Let's see. Okay, gotcha. Okay, let me look at my notes here to make sure we don't miss anything. Mr. Brandon Matthews, who is at LCIW, and I believe that is your son, and so we'd like to hear from him. Mr. Matthews?
Good morning. Good morning to the honorable members of the board and the family and friends of Mr. Imicor. My name is Brandon Matthews. I am Carolyn Cobbs' son. I'm here today to respectfully ask for mercy. My mother is 71 years old, and she has grown older and has health issues, and they have grown too. And she has begun to struggle with comprehension and memory. My greatest wish in life is to spend a little time with her before long, something that I've not done since I was a little boy. At the time of the tragedy, I was 7 years old. Before my parents got divorced, my mom did her best for us. She was loving and caring, but I also witnessed a difficult relationship with my mother and my father. My father was very violent to my mother. I remember him smacking her around a little bit, hitting her in the face and screaming at her at various times. I remember being very scared and confused. When they got a divorce, my father would let my mom see us, wouldn't let her see us for months. This was deeply painful for me and my sister. And I never imagined my mom would end up committing such a horrible crime, but she did. And over the years, we talked about this and the turmoil she was experiencing. In no way this excuses what she did. Even while in prison, my mom has been very influential in our lives, teaching us the importance of serving our country and gaining an education. She is the key reason why I'm an Army veteran today. My daughter is an Army veteran, and my son is currently serving United States active duty Army right now. And my sister also works for the fire department. When my sister was diagnosed with a rare form of blood cancer, my mom researched some foods my sister could eat during her treatment and called her every day before her chemo session. Over the years, we have had many long talks what my mom had done to a family that she didn't know, and she has instead she should have gotten some type of mental counseling. We would often talk about Mr. Core's family and what they must have gone through, and how much she wished she could express her remorse to them. I had the opportunity to meet Mr. Core's son, who I truly believe is a very wonderful and beautiful human being. I had the chance to hug him and ask him to forgive my mom and our family for the tragic harm that my mom caused in his life. I've also heard Mr. Core's brother express the pain that he went through because of my mom and how he thinks about his brother every day. And I also think about him every day. I took those words to heart. Regardless of how any member of the Core's family feels about my mother's release, I'm very sorry for their pain and will always hold them in my heart. In closing, my mom means the world to me. I know she's not entitled to forgiveness or to clemency, but I humbly ask the board to consider letting me and my family take care of her for the remaining years outside prison walls. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews. We'll take those words under consideration and appreciate that. The next up is Dr. McConville. Dr. Brad McConville will be speaking from Zoom or on Zoom. Doctor, would you tell us what you have to say, please, sir?
Sure. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Brad McConville. I'm in board certified internal medicine, psychiatry, and forensic psychiatry. I work for Tulane School of Medicine, but I also work for the State Forensic Hospital in Jackson. and I do risk assessments for patients. So I think a lot about the relationship between mental illness and violence and recidivism, as I have to advise courts frequently on those issues. So I had the opportunity to evaluate Ms. Cobbs last summer for the first time and then reevaluated her last week. And from a psychiatric perspective, she suffers from major depressive disorder and chronic anxiety. These are conditions that have been seemingly well treated for a number of years now. She does have mild memory impairment that I was able to determine, but she has responded to treatment. I think that she was, in my evaluations of her, cooperative, thoughtful. She has good insight. She told me about the circumstances surrounding the offense, and she did express, I thought, some sincere remorse. It was evident based on, her history and my experience talking about trauma and stressors that lead to behavior, that she was experiencing really severe psychological distress at the time of the offense in question. But then looking at her actual risk factors for future violence, I think that she is an exceptionally low risk category, and I'll explain why. So she is, female, lower risk. She's elderly. She doesn't have a significant substance issue. She doesn't have any personality disorders. She had no criminal history prior to this offense. And then not only does she have sort of an absence of those really significant clinical risk factors, but she also has a number of protective factors. Surprisingly, she's remained in very strong and sustained support from her family, her children and grandchildren. She's been engaged in work, and I believe that she has gone through rehabilitation and developed a lot of effective coping skills that she didn't have prior to this long period of incarceration. And I think importantly, she has a clear and structured recovery and reentry plan to work with the parole project. So from forensic psychiatric perspective, I think that there's no evidence to suggest that Ms. Cobbs poses a meaningful risk to public safety if released under these structured parole conditions. I've looked at some research indicating that she's in a very low risk category. So in closing, I would like to respectfully submit that Ms. Cobbs meets the criteria for clemency consideration based on her low risk of recidivism, strong protective factors, documented rehabilitation, and a structured supportive release plan. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
All right, thank you, Dr. McConville. It's very concise, and we appreciate you being on Zoom with us. Okay, let's see. I think the next one to speak is going to be Jason. Let's see, Sterling Core.
Please go, Jason. Please go, Jason.
Jason. Okay, Jason Core.
Yep.
Hi, thank you.
Okay, there you go.
Hi, I'm Jason Core. I'm here today to humbly and earnestly request clemency for CAROLYN Cobbs. This is not a request made lightly, nor it is one meant to overlook the gravity of her past actions. Instead, it is an appeal to recognize the extraordinary growth, transformation, and humanity that she has demonstrated during her years of incarceration, and the healing and closure her clemency means to me, the son of the victim, George Emmett Core in this case. Since Ms. Cobbs' last hearing, my aunt and father's sister, Diane Carter, wrote a letter in support of Ms. Cobbs' clemency. In that letter, she wrote, "I believe that Ms. Cobbs is remorseful for what she did. It is time for healing and forgiveness," and I share my aunt's sentiments completely. In my view of justice, I need to believe in the concept of paying one's debt to society. And I feel she has paid her debt. And Ms. Cobbs now longs for the chance to reunite with her beautiful family and give back to her community in meaningful ways. I want to help facilitate that. I met with Brandon and Candace, her lovely son and daughter, and I saw so much of myself in them, and we had quite a lot in common. They see in her not only a mother, but a source of guidance, love, and stability that their lives have been missing. Granting Ms. Cobbs clemency would not only restore her freedom, but it would also strengthen a family that has long awaited her return. This is a gift I would be proud to help provide. I ask you to consider the full measure of Ms. Cobbs' humanity, the struggle she has overcome, the positive changes she has made, and the hope she now carries for the future. Clemency is an act of justice tempered with compassion, and Ms. Cobbs has shown through her actions, her words, and her unwavering commitment to growth that she is worthy of this mercy. I believe that continuing to keep her in prison does not serve justice any further. She has been punished, she has paid her debt, and she has used her time to truly transform. I don't feel she would pose any threat to anyone if released. Granting her clemency would not erase what happened, but it would recognize the humanity in her and the possibility of redemption. It would also allow me, as the son of the man she harmed, to show that forgiveness is healing. Holding on to anger alone does not heal. Forgiving Ms. Cobbs is a means of closure to me and will allow me to bring a measure of positivity back into the world. My mother, Carolyn Leftwich, is also in person at this hearing and staunchly advocates for Ms. Cobbs' release, having also written a letter to this effect on her behalf. And so for these reasons, I respectfully ask you to grant clemency to CAROLYN Cobbs so that she may step forward into the next chapter of her life, not as a prisoner defined by her past, but as a woman who has paid her debt, ready to contribute, and eager to live out her remaining years in service to her family and her community. I appreciate your time, your consideration, and your commitment to justice. Thank you.
Mr. Core, thank you very much for those words, and we appreciate you being on Zoom with us today. Okay, I think that if I'm not mistaken, and I'll have somebody bring my attention, we'll turn it over to Avery Nolan. Is that correct, Mr. Moroz?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure we're all in one accord here. Avery Nolan, would you speak to us, please?
Yes, sir. Good morning. My name is Avery Nolan, and I'm a student attorney with the Tulane Law School Domestic Violence Clinic. Thank you for your time and consideration today and for hearing Ms. Cobbs' case. We understand the board heard Ms. Cobbs' case last year, so we would like to first focus on what is different today, including additional support from the victim's family and critical information the board learned from Ms. Cobbs' son, Brandon, about his parents' relationship. At age 10, Jason Core lost his father when Ms. Cobbs committed a horrible crime. At ages 7 and 5, Brandon and Candace Matthews lost their mother's physical presence in their lives when she was arrested and incarcerated for this crime. It has now been over 43 years since the tragedy that transformed the lives of these children. Jason Core already spoke in favor of Ms. Cobbs at her last hearing, but since then, he, Brandon, and Candace met for the first time. They bonded over their shared love of music, the pain they suffered growing up without one of their parents, and their journeys toward healing and forgiveness. Today, they are united in asking this board to recommend Ms. Cobbs' release. Also, since the last hearing, the victim's sister was so moved by her nephew's ability to find forgiveness that she too has decided to support Ms. Cobbs' release. We recognize there is no one way to respond to or heal from a horrible crime, but we believe that it is a testament to forgiveness and mercy and a testament to Ms. Cobbs' growth in prison that the victim's son and sister are not just expressing a lack of opposition to Ms. Cobbs' release, but that for them, it's an essential part of their healing. In addition to the strength and support for Ms. Cobbs' release, we would like to address the circumstances of Ms. Cobbs' life leading up to the crime, some of which the board heard for the first time from her son today. Ms. Cobbs married an older boyfriend right after high school and later became the mother of 2 children she absolutely adored. She hoped for a loving and respectful marriage, but that was not her reality. Her reality was that her husband would beat her when she did not live up to his expectations, like when dinner wasn't ready when he would get home from work. Ms. Cobbs' son Brandon has vivid memories of this abuse. Ms. Cobbs eventually sought a divorce, but her husband, who had abused her for years, ended up being awarded custody of her children, despite the fact that he'd never shown up to court to contest the divorce. Ms. Cobbs was confused and distraught. After the divorce, even though she had visitation rights, her ex-husband would not allow her to see her children. One time when she tried to see them, he struck her in the face, just like he did when they were married. The Christmas after the divorce, Ms. Cobbs bought presents for her children, but he prevented the kids from seeing her. He tried to erase Ms. Cobbs from her children's lives and soon married another woman, Patricia Matthews, who he abused as well. Ms. Matthews explains all this in her letter of support for Ms. Cobbs. Ms. Cobbs missed her children dearly and was desperate to get them back. She went to lawyer after lawyer after lawyer. One lawyer took what little money she had and did no work in her case, while another told her that she had no chance of getting her kids back. All of this, the abuse from her ex-husband, the confusing loss of her children, and the frustrating experiences of trying to get her children back, caused Ms. Cobbs to feel like her world was falling apart and led her to a mental breakdown. Ms. Cobbs went to Mr. Core's office to try to understand how this had happened, and in the several minutes she was in his office, she completely lost it and committed a horrible, inexcusable crime, shooting him. And for that, she is deeply remorseful. Of course, none of this excuses Ms. Cobbs' actions, but it does provide context about how a hardworking mother of 2, who had never been arrested before, ended up committing this crime. In the 43+ years since Ms. Cobbs has been in prison, she has done everything in her power to atone for her crime. I won't repeat all of her accomplishments in prison since the board already has her information, but she did engage in mental health counseling, completed critical programming such as Thinking for a Change and Victim Impact, deepened her faith, and was on the dean's list for a prison college program. Despite decades of incarceration, Ms. Cobbs has always stayed committed to her family. When her children were younger, she played dominoes with them to help improve their math skills and help them through telephone homework sessions. She encouraged her son to join the military so he could serve something greater than himself. And when her daughter was diagnosed with a rare type of blood cancer, she researched treatment options and healthy foods for her to eat. Ms. Cobbs' dedication to motherhood and the success of her children, even from behind bars, touched the victim's sister's heart and is one of the reasons she supports her clemency today. It is also worth mentioning Ms. Cobbs was convicted by a non-unanimous jury, and the Louisiana Supreme Court has stated that clemency is an appropriate remedy for non-unanimous jury convictions. If released, Ms. Cobbs would have the guidance and support of the Parole Project, her loving family, and the Beacon Light Church in Baton Rouge. She hopes to volunteer at a food bank and to bring all the Guard magazine clippings that she sent to her son over the years in her letters to life by helping him tend to his garden. As one of her grandsons stated in his letter of support, "My grandmother is elderly and she has seen more days than she has ahead of her." After spending 43 years incarcerated, Ms. Cobbs is now 71 years old. She's one of the longest serving women in Louisiana prisons and lives in the assisted living area. She is also a trustee in the prison. This is the only crime she has committed, and as Dr. McConville stated, she is not a risk to society. We recognize that not every member of the Core family supports Ms. Cobbs' release, but we believe the connection made between the children of this tragedy and the victim's sister support are a testament to Ms. Cobbs' remorse and accountability for her actions and deserves this board's consideration. We humbly ask the board recommend a commutation to a term of years. Thank you again for your time and consideration today.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate those words. Well spoken. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that is all that will be speaking in favor of Ms. Cobb's request. Now we'll move on to those in opposition, and we will start with Sterling Core, who is in opposition. Mr. Core, are you with us? Sterling?
I am, and can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I believe I'd like to have a different order. I would like to go last because Terry Hessick is there, his law partner, I believe. He signed in.
No, sir, we're gonna allow Mr. Hessick and then the Attorney General and the DA's office to close out. So you can go ahead and make your comments now.
Okay, fine. That means Brant Hardy, who is on Zoom, will not be speaking on my behalf. He's a counselor, much like McConnell Bob, and he was going to actually make a case for the opposite of what their analyst said. Okay, let me go ahead and say, first of all, I hope everybody had a happy Easter. I am blown away by the pretty picture you all paint for Mrs. Cobbs. There's only 3 people or 4 people in that room right now that has as much history as I and Mrs. Cobbs have, and that is Mr. Hessick and Mr. Sinkfield. I have been the face of opposition on this for 40-something years. But before I get into that, let me just read, and I apologize, I'm extremely emotional and stressed out over this. Again, my name is Sterling Core. I'm the younger brother of the murdered victim, Emmett Core Jr. He was a prominent local attorney and also ran for sheriff. Our faces are covered because we're sincerely afraid for our safety. I don't care what any analyst has to say. You can't guarantee that this person is not going to hurt again, just like they hurt 40-something years ago. I like to remind the board that Hiller Moore was a detective on this case, and John Sinkfield was the prosecutor. Both are in strong no commutation opinion, and Mr. Sinkfield wrote a very heartfelt letter to the board. Brandon, I do thank you for your kind words. We've met before, and you definitely said 20 years ago that you wouldn't be the man you are today if we hadn't been keeping your mother in prison. You have a change of heart, and that's your opinion. My nephew, Jason, who I have a good relationship with, as I have a good relationship with my sister, has less to gain from this decision than I have to lose, for I have a larger footprint of responsibility. He is speaking for one family member, for he has never married nor has children. I, on the other hand, have been married for 35 years with multiple children to protect. Excuse me, and the legacy of my brother and my parents to honor. Like my nephew, my sister has never been involved, does not reside in Baton Rouge. She moved several years after the murder to a Midwestern state. I won't name the state because I don't want to reveal too much. And she has been there for over 40 years, and she doesn't frequent Louisiana very much. I reside in this parish. I have no plans on leaving. So basically, they have less skin in the game than I do. And that's their opinion if they want to push this agenda. But anyway, so from a family perspective, my wife and my deceased mother and myself are the faces of the local opposition. So please take that into consideration. Let me also say before I get into the heart of my letter that I am heartbroken and feel a tremendous grief, not only for my family, but just as sincere for hers. We are all victims here, and I mean that. Let me catch my releasing her into the general public will not end our grief. This forum is not about opinion as much as it is about facts. And feeling a certain way and having her stay in prison or get out of prison is not going to make your grief go away. This is about facts, not feelings. So with that said, and on behalf of my family, we beg this board to deny Mrs. Cobbs' commutation for the following reasons. And the reasons I'm getting ready to read is the truth, and it has nothing to do with the pretty painted picture that their side presented. Number one, and the main one, not what my family was promised. We took the death penalty off the table to have life imprisonment without parole. She needs to pay her debt to society. Number two, crime is out of control, and releasing inmates early is not a deterrent. The rule of law is maybe modern man's greatest achievement. The law is too important to be toyed with. Her actions must have consequences. Number three, the level of premeditation was extremely calculated. She was obviously banned from seeing my brother after the custody case. So she planned the murder carefully by making an appointment while a temporary secretary was on duty. She used an assumed name. She was disguised. She filled out paperwork. Old clients don't fill out paperwork, you know. She, again, was there when a temporary secretary was there. She entered my brother's office and shot him in the chest. She then fled to an awaiting car, like she said. She had plenty of time to change her mind. The time span from when she lost custody to the murder was I believe, many months. It could have been 6 months, but it wasn't hours. It was, she had plenty of time to reconsider and to calm down and take a different direction. Number 4, she had a hit list of other attorneys to harm. That should say it all right there. I mean, what does that say about her plans? And number 5, Mrs. Cobbs never gave up the 38 caliber handgun. This should be a big red flag too. Number 6, she has been untruthful, misleading, and dishonest in describing the details on the day of the murder. She has always painted a picture of a woman that needed a shoulder to cry on and sauntered into my brother's office for help. This could not be further from the truth. She didn't saunter. She was not allowed. She's painting a picture that just doesn't represent reality. One thing I've learned from watching past pardon board YouTubes is if you want leniency, you must speak the truth. This to me tells so much of her mental state by being unwilling to own up to her crimes. It is a false reality complex. Number 7, let's not make time an issue. We are only a few years apart and we both have plenty of time left to live. Murder seems like yesterday to me. And Brandon thinks about it all the time, and I think about it every single day. Number 8, the number and type of write-ups are staggering. 121. Don't tell me she's been a model inmate, okay? Which I just heard a moment ago. Number 9, no remorse. Today, you could tell she was a little better coached. Didn't you notice her attorney lean over and say something? So she said she was sorry today twice. In the past, she has shown no remorse and at times acted maniacal. The biggest reveal at the last hearing was a question the pardon board asked her, are you remorseful for your action? She replied in a very strong, clear voice, no, I would do it all over again. He had it coming. He had it coming. That statement alone says it all. Number 10, this hearing is a result of a loophole of sort from Act 122. I know you people know about this. This hearing is not in the spirit of that law. It is for juveniles who have committed crimes with very long sentences. She was not a 60-year-old teenager hopped up on hormones, but a 28-year-old grown woman with a 5 and a 7-year-old. Commuting this case is just a hop, skip, and a jump to a parole. And I know y'all know this, so please use your wisdom here and don't go that direction. Number 11, and this is where I want some more dialogue. I'm almost done.
Time out. How many numbers do you have on your list?
121. One more. I'll be brief. Okay. Number 11, from the evidence shared at the last hearing, more needs to be revealed about her schizophrenia. That was brought up at the last hearing, her depression diagnosis and anxiety. So in closing, her sentence was determined by a grand jury and a jury of her peers. She is by no means rehabilitated. No matter what y'all are saying over there, you will not convince me she is ready for the outside. She never will be. Is it wise? Is it wise to unleash someone onto our committee that has lied and misled the board, who has a confused perception of reality, who has a pathetic inmate behavioral record, who has committed a very heinous, cold-blooded, premeditated murder, and most importantly, and this is the critical one, the repeat potential to harm herself and others by way of maybe some mental shortcomings? I say it's not worth the risk, and I hope you agree. Wouldn't it be more beneficial and compassionate to her to let her remain in prison and get the care she needs and the peace of mind we deserve? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Core. We appreciate those words. We'll take those into serious consideration. I believe the next is Terry Hessig. Is that correct? Mr. Terry Hessig, victim's friend in opposition. Mr. Oh, there you are. Thought you were going to be on Zoom. Thank you, Mr. Hessig.
I'm Terry Hessig. Emmett Ford, the victim, was my law partner and my very good friend. Emmett was 39 when he was murdered by this woman. I managed to reach a ripe old age of 80 years old. Emmett never got that chance. He did represent Carolyn Cobbs in a divorce proceeding. She lost custody of her minor children at that proceeding. But I have some unfortunate truths to give you which do not comport with what Mrs. Cobbs has told you. She lost custody of her children and essentially agreed to transfer of custody because she knew she stood no chance of keeping custody during that proceeding. For the main reason that she had been working as a prostitute. That's the kind of home, if you want to call it that, she would present to those children. Some other facts that Sterling has gone over briefly that I want to call to your attention again. Ms. Cobbs said that she went to several attorneys to get no relief as far as custody. There has to be a reason for that. Also, she's claiming that she went to Mr. Ford to find out what had happened possibly to get advice, possibly to get counseling. But here's what really happened. When Carolyn Cobbs called to make her appointment, she gave a false name, pretending to be a new client. When Carolyn Cobbs entered our offices, she wore a disguise, a wig, and dark sunglasses. And when our secretary sat down with her, all new clients fill out a form which gives basic information: their name, their address, their children, their spouse's name and address, their dates of birth, those kinds of things which we need in order to effectively file pleadings for our clients. She sat there with the secretary and gave false name, a false address. And unfortunately for her, she did have some information on there which was truthful, like her date of birth and children's names, which eventually was how she was caught. But she gave false information while wearing a disguise. She went into Emmett Ford's office, pulled a gun out of the purse and shot him in the heart. She never came to that office to get advice or to get counseling. She came to our offices with the premeditation to kill Emmett Ford. That's the only reason she was there, and she succeeded. And the jury of her peers found her guilty of second-degree murder. Second-degree murder carries a life sentence without probation or parole. She should be made to carry out the sentence. The state and the jury of her peers told her she had to serve. I am not convinced that this woman has ever been remorseful. Frankly, I am in fear for myself and the family, and for Mr. Porter's family, and for Sterling and his wife and their children. This woman is allowed to roam the streets again, brood over the people like myself who have kept her in prison all these years. She apparently has been doing fairly well in prison. She's been getting psychiatric and psychological help. The warden thinks she's a good prisoner, and that, frankly, is where she should stay for the remainder of her years. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your words. All right, we will hear now from Mr. John Singfield. With the Attorney General's office.
Yeah, I'm the commission, John Singfield. I'm currently executive counsel for the Attorney General Leah's board. Formerly, I was chief deputy attorney general to Governor Jeff Landry, and before that, senior counsel Jeff Landry for 8 years. Spent 11 years under O.C. Brown, prosecuting cases and became chief deputy district attorney late in my career. And I came back to that 6 years as first assistant DA for Richard I. Ubo in Calhoun Parish before he became attorney general. And I served 17 years as first assistant DA at the Governor. I'm delighted to go to the Attorney General's office as first assistant attorney general on the Cobbs. I give that background because I have some disagreement with some of the stuff that's said. I tried Carolyn Cobbs, and what I saw, which is rare, I've been prosecuting murder cases over 50 years in the state. And y'all see there's a lot of drug murders that are premeditated. I tried Derek Todd Reed, gave him the death penalty. He had a lot of premeditated murders, so they are. But one like this stands out to me because I was very close by, and there was still wet blood all over this whole scene. I was at the crime scene in probably a few minutes after it happened. I don't know if I beat the coroner there or not. Well, what was very plain here is I hear all this about her being upset and emotion involved. And I hear the psychiatrist. I would love to cross-examine him because sometimes they don't hold up so well when they face cross-examination by an experienced prosecutor. But one thing here that was said was wrong is when I guess the son says she feels she has paid her debt to society. When you do a premeditated murder, and you take your time, which she did, and she made a decision that another human being was going to die that day. And she disguised her house. I'll defer to the record. I haven't viewed the record. But she had on a wig and sunglasses. She filled out application with false information. She went in and shut the door, and it was a very short period of time, as I recall, that bam, you heard the gunshot. Shot Mr. Core right in the chest, hit his heart. And then she made her way out of there. And she didn't have any immediate remorse. We had to figure out who did it. We had to pull files. I forget exactly. I'll defer to the record. Y'all may know more about it than me. But what is the punishment when you just decide that another human being is going to die on a certain time, which she did, and you just walk in there and kill somebody? You've made a decision. State of Louisiana made a decision. We can't stop them from doing that. State of Louisiana made a decision. When you do that, the punishment ought to be life without suspension, probation, and parole. Not life without suspension, probation, parole for a certain period of time. Then you get out and get to enjoy your family, enjoy life, and be around Baton Rouge. So I disagree. I don't think she has paid her debt to society. I think there's a big deficit yet to be paid that debt. She hasn't paid it. Oh. They don't think she'd be a threat to anyone. I don't know. Is she blaming the people in this room? Did she blame me? I prosecuted her. She blamed the lawyer that we pulled the tape, and it didn't look like what I recall. Now, for the record, it didn't look like he did a lot wrong in that here that she got blamed. She blamed for. You know, I have experience of family members being got to by the lawyers or other people and them showing up. Yeah. I live in Baton Rouge, inside the city limits of Baton Rouge. So I guess I'm glad here, because at least I know what she looks like if y'all let her out. I would urge you not to do this. She doesn't deserve it. When you make that premeditated decision that you're going to execute another human being, and you do it very cleverly, she could have got away with this with a little bit of luck. If she'd been a little better at that application, if she'd been a little better not putting it so close to her house, a little whatever, because the secretary didn't recognize. So I've heard everything here. The only thing I can do is say on behalf of the state of Louisiana, we would request you to please deny this application for compensation. I'd answer any questions anybody has.
Okay, thank you, sir. We appreciate those words, and we'll consider those along with these other things. Ms. Tracy Barbara.
Good morning, Tracy Barbera for the East Baton Rouge District Attorney's Office. I apologize for not being present in person, but I decided to bring my congestion and coughs to Hiller's office and not before the members of the board. I think this is the first time in my 36-year career I've had to follow John Sinkfield with comments. It's somewhat intimidating, I must admit, and honestly, there's not much more that I can add to what Mr. Core, Mr. Hessick, and Mr. Stinkfield have represented to you. I would just like to bring home the fact that the individual, CAROLYN Cobbs, who spoke to you last time, made reference to she went there with questions and she just lost it. And then again today, she said, I went there to ask him questions. My emotions got the better of me. I was not myself. To this day, she is still not being completely forthright with you about her intent when she did just as Mr. Sinkfield described. She armed herself with the firearm, went to the law office, disguised herself. This woman clearly intended to go there and kill Mr. Core, and she still will not acknowledge that. Until she acknowledges that to herself, her family, and to this board, I represent to you that she has not even come close to meeting what this board has historically required before recommending the relief that she requests. She represented to you last time. She tried to be a model prisoner. She's being represented to you today as a model prisoner. Again, as I said last time, I hate to be a broken record, but you have had people before you who have served more time than Ms. Cobbs has, who have had 0 write-ups or 1 or 2 early write-ups. 121 write-ups, the last one being an aggravated offense, is not indicative of someone who should be recommended for clemency and released. I stand firm with the core, Mr. Core and Mr. Seafield and Mr. Hessick, and ask that you please not recommend commutation of sentence. Thank you.
Thank you much. Appreciate that. And the final speaker in opposition will be Mr. Brant Hardy. Is Mr. Hardy here or on Zoom?
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Board. I will, in light of everything that's been said, I'd like to address one specific issue. There's so much more that I could say. I've watched the Core family, who I'm very close friends with for almost 40 years, suffer from this. The family, it is a constant source of concern and outcome that today's hearing will bring to bear. In my mind, as you all are aware, there's a tremendous difference as a context of forgiveness and consequences. I'm a mental health counselor licensed here in the state of Louisiana as a licensed professional counselor, practicing over 43 years. I've worked extensively in my practice also with victim-defendant mediation. So I've had the unique front row seat to watch people who have committed very serious crimes ask for relief and forgiveness from families that they've offended. In this circumstance, I can't address all the history that you all have so much more than I do, but the context of what Ms. Barbera and Mr. Sinkfield has said from a public standpoint, there's a practical and common sense understanding here that, you know, life in prison means life in prison. The dynamic of this consequence on this family, wanting their mother to come home, I appreciate that. And I feel for the family and I encourage forgiveness, but there is a difference between forgiveness and consequence. All of us should forgive when there's an offense such as this, because otherwise we're not released and free emotionally. So forgiveness is absolutely essential. But the consequence, as Mr. Sinkfield said, is a debt that's paid because of the heinous act. And so feelings cannot come into play in this, in my opinion, as a public citizen, but also as a friend of the family. There are real concerns for their safety and welfare. But in this context, please do not commute this sentence that puts anyone at further risk of harm. And I think you protect the family, you protect Mr. Hessick. And I also think the dynamic that was just said by Ms. Barbera, I think the truth is that keeping her in custody is the best outcome for her from a health standpoint, from a mental health standpoint, and also from a real context of consideration for what life in prison without the ability of parole means. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hardy. We appreciate those words. I believe, and I could stand corrected, but I believe that's all the speakers that we're going to have, either in opposition or in favor of this request of Ms. Cobb. Now, Ms. Cobb, the next portion, as I think you know, we'll ask our questions, and I'll lead, and then my rest of the panel will have a chance to ask questions, and then we will vote. It's as simple as that. So I've got a couple of questions to clear up some of the things that I've heard. Why did you set the appointment to go there to the attorney's office?
Well, sir, I had been trying to see him for a while and I wasn't able to see him. So I decided to try a new name. Maybe I get a chance to see him.
Okay. Where did you get the gun?
I bought it from a pawn shop
When did you buy it?
after me and my husband separated.
How soon was that before the shooting of your attorney?
It'd been a year, sir.
So you had had the gun a year. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why did you disguise yourself?
Sir, to my recollection, I didn't disguise myself. I didn't wear a wig.
To your recollection?
Uh,
You know if you wore a wig or not. That day, it's in
no,
your
sir,
mind.
I hate my hair. There was no wig.
Okay. What did you do with the gun afterwards?
I threw it into the water, sir.
Where?
Off a bridge.
What bridge?
I don't remember.
Okay. I've heard some discussions about your mental health. Do you currently take medicine?
Yes, sir.
Were you taking medicine at the time?
I don't remember, sir.
When were you diagnosed with the mental health problems?
Sometimes right after my husband and I separated.
But you don't remember if you were taking medicine. Do you remember what kind of medicine you were prescribed?
Could have been a Valium, sir, or something like that.
Could have been, but what was it? Yes, sir.
No, go ahead.
You don't remember what kind of medicine it was?
I can't say for certain, sir, no.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Let's see. I'm concerned about your disciplines. Tell me why you have so many disciplines. Is there a common denominator? Is there a something that causes you not to follow the rules or causes you not to get along with people or something? Could you explain your disciplines?
Well, yes, sir. I was had never been incarcerated or locked up before. And prison life is different. And you have all types of women from every walk of life. And I had time adjusting to prison life. And I think I might have had some bad medication when I was in prison.
Okay. And because reason I say that, and we hear people say they had trouble adjusting, and so they have some disciplines and all, but your disciplines lasted for a long time. Is what concerns me up through basically 2020, but primarily through 2018, you had a lot of disciplines, over 100 disciplines. That's more than just, I would think it's more than just adjusting. Usually adjusting is the first 2 or 3 years. So I was concerned about that. Let's see, I believe that may be all the questions, but I may come back after I hear
I'd like to ask some questions.
some, okay?
How long have you been incarcerated?
Almost 44 years, sir.
Okay, I would probably, I've forgotten things in less time than that, and I can understand 44 years, you don't recall a lot of these things. And Warden, do you feel that this, how long has she been with you?
Well, how long have I been here or how long has she been here?
How long has she been under your supervision?
So she's been here since 1983. I've been here since 2021.
2020. And what kind of prisoner would you say she is?
Like I said earlier, since I've been here and with her, she's been in the assisted living dormitory. So, like I said, she hasn't been any trouble for me since I've been here.
That's what I thought I heard. Are you remorseful?
Sir?
Are you remorseful?
Oh, sir, from the beginning, I was confused and I was in torment.
Are you remorseful now?
I was back then and I still am, sir. I should not have shot and killed Mr. Core. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I let my emotions get the better of me.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Core, we've heard very important arguments on both sides of this issue. Your life sentence, there's no doubt about it in my mind that it was entirely premeditated. Everything you did from I read, because I was on the board the last time you were up here. And I remember the case from then, and we had a little bit more information leading up to it. And so I know my vote then was not to commute you. Then I've read the letter from the victim's son, which is heartbreaking. And I do understand, because I'm a victim's advocate, I do understand that there are times when, in order for a victim to heal, they do need the same type of closure for a different reason, which is what's been said here. The rest of the family members, they want their nephew or their son to have closure, and he's a very kind person. And he met with your children, from what I understand, from what was being said here. And so they had, and I know how victim offender dialogue goes. I know how important that is for a victim and the offender. And it seems like that's what we have that was going on here. So I'm very happy that they had that. But see, right now, I listened to Mr. Prater. He questioned you again. He questioned you, and I listened, and you were still evasive about what you did that day. And I don't even understand the purpose anymore. Where did you throw the gun at? Water. We all live right here in Baton Rouge. And then you don't remember wearing a wig or anything. And how did you get there last time? Seems like the last time I read that you had arranged for transportation to bring you and pick you up. Did you take a taxi or something last time? How did you get to his office?
Ma'am, I have an automobile. I had an automobile.
So you just drove yourself over there, okay. Everything that I remember from reading the last time and this time was that you did go in there with a gun in your purse. That's not the normal thing for people to do. So, I don't buy the part that you were confused and everything. Um, but my heart does go out for the families on both sides. I do want to say that. For the very reasons that they stated. But I did find you continually still evasive today when actually asked about particular crime. So, and about the mental health issue, you were evasive about that too. So that's all I have to say for today.
So how long have you lived in the assisted living dorm? Do you remember?
Maybe about 6 months.
Oh, so you just got moved there? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
What was the job you had before you moved into that dorm?
It was housekeeping, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I think everybody did a really
Let
good
me ask-
job. Go ahead.
How long were you in his office before you shot him?
I don't remember, sir. Seconds, minutes, I don't remember.
Did y'all talk about much?
No, sir.
So you pretty much had your mind made up.
Sir, I just lost it. I was under pressure. So much pressure till I lost my reason and I just.
What
was
happens
out
when
of
you
my
get
mind.
out? What happens when you get out and you forget to take your medicine and you get under pressure at Brookshire's?
Beg your pardon, sir?
What happens when somebody breaks in line in front of you at Brookshire's and you've forgotten you hadn't been taking your medicine because everything's fine and you're out of jail? I don't know if y'all have Brookshire's around here.
Well, you better.
Walmart. Anyway, it's kind of a rhetorical question, meaning I didn't expect much of an answer, but I just wanted to ask that question to tell you that's the kind of decisions this board has to wrestle with, along with everything else that's been submitted, is the safety of the public.
So I have one question for you, Ms. Cobbs, and then we'll be ready to vote. When you went there that day, you went there to kill Mr. Core.
No, ma'am.
Why'd you have the gun?
I carried the gun with me everywhere I went.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
I'd like to have executive session, please.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Can you call the roll?
Renata,
Yes.
Prater,
Yes.
Tibbet,
Yes.
thank you.
All right. I'll make the motion to go back to regular session without objection. We're back in regular session. It's 10:50. And we are prepared to vote. Mr. Prater?
Yes, ma'am. Because I've weighed everything and heard your chief, and we've been here long enough. My vote has not changed. I still vote that this request be denied. It's because of the violent nature of the premeditated crime. It's also because of the numbers of disciplines since you've been incarcerated, and it's a lot of disciplines, and they've lasted up through 2020. And that bothers me because of the severe opposition and well-stated opposition from the law enforcement community. And because of the premeditation. And I still feel like, well, because of premeditation, so my vote has not changed from the last hearing. And my vote is to not recommend to the governor that we do this.
Mr. Tillis?
My vote is to recommend to grant with to 99 years and I am so happy to see that the family has forgiven this person. And I think 44 years is a long time. I appreciate and feel that you have remorsefulness and hope that some of us will get in our hearts to have mercy and forgive people. So my vote is to grant.
Mrs. Stapleton? I gotta tell you, I am very torn with this one because I've been on both sides. I'm a victim's advocate. I know about victim offender dialogue and what a powerful method of forgiveness that is. And closure for a victim. And that's what I've heard here today. That means a lot to me. And I'm so happy for his son and his sisters that they've reached that point and have had contact with your children. I do find, though, that this was a premeditated act. Even to this moment, that it was a premeditated act. Like you said, you just spent a minute or so in his office. So there's no way to not believe that you didn't go in there with a gun in your purse to kill the man. And so I didn't know until the brother mentioned that it was a possible death penalty case. They took that off the table. I don't know about that, but a jury decided that it would be life without benefit of probation, parole, or suspension of sentence or anything like that. So, so we have strong law enforcement opposition because it was premeditated and it was such a violent crime. So today I'm going to stay with my, and you've continued to have discipline problems, but now that you're in the assisted living area, it seems like maybe this is a good fit for you. So maybe some more time in the assisted living, your medication may have gotten just right, because that's very important for you to have a life outside of there or anywhere. I don't want to see any discipline problems. So you do have one in latest, I think it was 2020, and it was and all your discipline problems have been aggravated discipline, a lot of them. So yeah, I see June of 2020 that you had one was your latest one. So my vote today is gonna be to deny due to the nature of the premeditation to kill the attorney, the law enforcement opposition, and we still have split victim opposition. And you've had excessive disciplinary problems while you've been in.
So Ms. Cobbs, today you didn't get the vote you needed. It takes four light votes. And so I'm not going to vote, but I will tell you, I'm a little disappointed that you didn't take full ownership of your emotions that day, what happened. I mean, I know you say you lost it, but I think there's more that you need to come to terms with, just like the DA has expressed. So I hope you continue to work on that. I'm glad you're doing well where you're at, but today your application for clemency has been denied. Good luck to you.